The opening scene begins with a narration regarding the imminent apocalypse. It appears that for over 1,000 days, the sun's enormous power has ravaged the Earth's atmosphere. The unrelenting heat has scorched the Earth's surface, causing cataclysmic storms and calamities, such as violence, chaos, and torment. As the sun is dying, it is emitting several intense solar flares, resulting in an increase of Earth's temperature. The scene then cuts to New Trinity, a huge facility in deep space where humans have created a powerful antimatter bomb to counter the sun's mega flare. Inside the facility, we are introduced to Captain Steve Kelso, a much more capable Kelso than the one from the 70s, who is conversing with Freddy, an AI handling the antimatter bomb. On the captain's instruction, Freddy loads the bomb in a cargo spaceship called Chicago. It is then transferred to Skytown, the United Command space station, in order to prepare for the Starfire mission. On Earth, we are shown a corrupt organization called IXL headquarters, where the board members are discussing the Starfire mission. During this, a scientist named Dr. Haas informs the group about an upcoming mega flare that will vaporize the Earth's atmosphere and destroy all life forms. As a result, he suggests that they support the expedition because the antimatter bomb is capable of diverting the mega flare away from Earth and into space. However, the chairman, Arnold Teague, as well as several board members, do not believe that such a catastrophe will occur and decide to invest in the Earth's future instead. In space, Captain Steve, along with his crew member, arrive at Skytown, where they are greeted by a cadet, Alex. She is a biogenetically enhanced human with high physical and mental capabilities. The captain then goes to a cabin to meet his father, Skeet, who is the admiral of the mission. It appears that Skeet is not happy that people keep making gross puns using his name, or that his son is volunteering for such a risky mission. Later on, an officer named Brog explains how 90% of the human population will be destroyed if the mega flare reaches Venus. But, according to Alex, if they are able to dispatch the antimatter bomb on the right spot of the sun, i.e. region 17, the mega flare can be diverted and the entire apocalypse might be averted. After this, Captain Steve outlines the mission's strategy, which involves piloting the spaceship Helios towards a rendezvous point in space, where they will meet Chicago, containing an antimatter bomb. From that point, one of them will have to manually pilot Chicago, as they can't fully rely on the AI. Following this discussion, they dispatch Chicago towards the rendezvous point. In the next scene, we see an aircraft crash landing on Earth's desert. Thankfully, the pilot survives the crash, but he has no resources for prolonged survival. Adding to the challenge, his compass also malfunctions, causing him to be lost. As a result, he starts wandering aimlessly in search of help. Turns out that the pilot is none other than Mike Kelso, son of Captain Steve. Still, more capable than that doofus from the 70s, who fled from his academy to see his father. When the Admiral learns of this, he decides to fly back to Earth in search of his grandson. Skeet is clearly devastated, as his son is going for a suicide mission, while his grandson has gone missing after an accident. After a long while of walking, Mike arrives at a small hut where he encounters an old man, Travis. He requests the man to take him to the nearby army base camp, expressing his wish to see his father. Travis agrees, and the two ride towards the base camp on the man's bike, but unfortunately, the bike's tire blows off in the middle of the road, causing them to be stranded. Not long after, they see some IXL trucks passing by, so they manage to stop one of them and climb on it. Along the way, the truck is ambushed by a group of rebels, who soon open fire. But as they open the door, they recognize Travis as an ex-colonel, so they allow them to leave. Meanwhile, at New Trinity, one of Arnold's henchmen abducts Alex while showering and starts tampering with her system. Once he's done, he makes a call to Arnold, saying that he can now use Alex in any way he wants. Here, we learn that since Arnold has invested a huge amount of money in food, water, and seeds preservation for the future, he doesn't want the antimatter bombing mission to be successful. When Dr. Haas learns of this, he tries to stop the chairman from doing so, citing its huge consequence. However, Arnold dismisses his concerns and solely focuses on earning profit from the panic. When the doctor continues to insist, Arnold abandons him in the middle of the desert so that he won't come in his way anymore. In the next scene, all the crew members board the Helios spaceship and set off for their mission. However, their journey is abruptly interrupted when the spaceship encounters a major problem: a severe vibration in the engine coolant turbo, coupled with jammed valves. Alex is summoned to figure out its solution, but she fails miserably due to her tampered system. Now, the crew members are left with only one way. Any one of them must enter the radiation chamber to resolve the issue manually. Despite being a risky job, a crew member, Meeks, volunteers to go for it. He dons his spacesuit and heads towards the radiation chamber. After a nervous walk, he somehow makes it to the chamber and manages to fix the jammed valve, but it tragically costs him his life. This incident leaves the crew members grief-stricken, but the captain encourages them to maintain focus on their mission. On the other hand, Skeet and his force inspect the desert where Mike's plane crashed. They are about to locate the remnants of the plane, but Mike's whereabouts remain unknown. In the meantime, Travis and Mike arrive at a local bar where they enjoy some precious cold water. During their respite, they see news featuring ongoing riots and torments around the globe. However, Mike is optimistic that the world will be a better place once Starfire mission becomes successful. It would not. Elsewhere, a group of rebels is wandering around the desert when they find Dr. Haas in a completely weakened and dire state. They carry him to the same local bar where Travis and Mike are resting. As there are no doctors in that area, Dr. Haas doesn't believe that he will survive. As a result, he randomly summons Mike and confides the sinister intention of IXL Company. While they converse, Travis is seen outside the bar, requesting a stranger for a car ride to the nearby army base camp. But since the car can only accommodate 2 people, Travis decides to depart with Mike and send him to his destination. After they leave, one of the rebels checks Dr. Haas's ID card and learns that he works for IXL Company. He then contacts the IXL headquarters and informs them about the same. Arnold and his men rush to the location, but Dr. Haas passes away before their arrival. Arnold then questions the rebel and learns about Travis and Mike. He also finds out that the doctor was talking to the young pilot right before his demise. Following this, Arnold splits up his henchmen into 2 groups and sends them after Travis and Mike. They soon manage to capture both of them and take them to their hideout for interrogation. In space, the crew members arrive at the designated rendezvous point where they successfully link the Chicago to the Helios. While the team prepares for the next phase of their mission, Alex approaches one of the crew members, Dr. Minami, and borrows his access card for some time. In the following scene, the IXL crew brutally assault Travis, coercing him to divulge all of the information he knows. However, the innocent guy remains silent as he genuinely knows nothing. The crew misinterprets his silence as defiance, and as a result, they beat him up to death. Elsewhere, Admiral Skeet, accompanied by his search unit, arrives at the same local bar. Upon interrogating the rebel group, Skeet realizes that his grandson is under the IXL's custody, so he directs his team to track them down. Simultaneously, the Helios experiences yet another mechanical malfunction, a huge leak of oxygen. Captain Steve, Brog, and some crew members rush to address the issue. As Brog proceeds to open the oxygen vent, a huge explosion occurs, causing him to be severely injured. He is immediately taken for medical help, while the captain continues his attempt to shut the leakage. Although he manages to resolve the issue, 63% oxygen is reported to have depleted from the ship. This means that they might not have enough oxygen to return back to Earth. After this incident, the captain senses something amiss and suspects that somebody might have tampered with the ship's system. So, he instructs Lieutenant TC to gather the access cards of all the crew members who have authority to manipulate the system. Back on Earth, Arnold, after extracting all the information from Mike, takes him to a deserted beach and orders one of his henchmen to execute him. But the boy manages to free himself, and he escapes towards the Rocky Mountains while dodging the bullets. He cleverly sets up a trap and hides behind a large rock. As the assailant approaches the trap, the boy hurls a stone towards him, snatches the firearm from his grasp, and shoots him to death. A short while later, Skeet and his team arrive at the scene and finally find Mike, resulting in a joyful reunion between the grandfather and grandson.
Oh, the sperm of my sperm.
Yeah, spermception, Pops.
The Admiral then tries to relay Mike's message to the Helios, but the ship's communication system is thwarted by the earlier damages. Later that night, the Admiral and his force embark to the IXL headquarters to apprehend Arnold. Upon arrival, they notice the chairman fleeing in his aircraft. Skeet can't afford to let the threat escape, so he orders a decisive strike, obliterating Arnold's aircraft in mid-air with a rocket launcher. Elsewhere, the Helios is nearing the sun's orbit, but the crew are still unable to take full control of the spaceship due to the earlier blast. The captain speculates that if they continue moving at this pace, they will soon be engulfed by the sun. Amid this escalating situation, a crew member discovers that the access card tampering the ship's system belongs to Dr. Minami, so the captain immediately orders his dismissal, unaware of the fact that Alex has been using his access card this whole time. Meanwhile, Dr. Minami is shocked to learn that the manual detonation timer of the antimatter bomb has been set up to 6 6 minutes. He frantically instructs Freddy to cancel the process, but his efforts prove to be futile. Left with no other option, he resorts to physically destroying the system, but it results in a huge blast. This kills him on the spot. Sensing the urgency of the situation, Captain Steve goes to get Alex to handle the situation, but finds her lying down unconscious. With this, the crew slowly begins to lose hope because the only people who can command Freddy are Dr. Minami and Alex. Steve orders the lieutenant to search for the recorded voice of either Minami or Alex so that they can trick the AI, but to no avail. The situation gets more and more intense as the spaceship nears the sun's flame and the bomb timer reduces to 1 minute. But with just a few seconds remaining, Alex wakes up and gathers all of her strength to reclaim control over her system. In the nick of time, she successfully commands Freddy to cancel the detonation, finally averting the potential disaster. Once everything is back to normal, Freddy reveals that it was Alex who reprogrammed him to activate the timer. This revelation infuriates the captain, who demands for the reason why she did so. In response, she tells him that someone was trying to get into her mind and make her do things she didn't want to do. While they discuss, Freddy informs them that they've reached Region 17 and that they must dispatch Chicago within a minute. Hearing this, Alex decides to go for this suicide mission in order to make up for the errors she has committed. Steve tries to stop her, but she knocks him down and enters the cargo ship. She then pilots Chicago and sets off the Helios, heading towards the molten core. Upon reaching the required depth, she triggers the bomb, resulting in a huge explosion that ultimately stabilizes the sun. Finally, the mission is completed successfully and the imminent catastrophe is averted. After this, the crew members, with still 31% oxygen remaining, make their way back to the Earth. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.